Untermyer Park in Yonkers. We visit this fine little park today. First, we're over the Hudson River doing a little 360 drone flight west of Yonkers and east of the Palisades. Here we're looking east toward Yonkers. As we swing south, in the distance, you can see Manhattan, and if you look closely before that, the George Washington Bridge. Then as we swing around here, this is the New Jersey Palisades on the west side of the river. And then when we start swinging back up north, you'll see these white structures upriver, and those are actually the Cuomo Bridge, the new Cuomo Bridge, which replaced the Tappan Zee Bridge. Now we're swinging back east again, and we'll be going into Yonkers. Here now we'll be heading straight for the staircase at Untermyer Park. Untermyer Park in Yonkers, New York has quite a history. It was at first, from 1865, the home of John Waring, who had the largest hat factory at the time. He built a 99-room mansion on the property that he called Greystone. The house and land were later bought by Samuel Tilden, a former New York governor and famous politician at the time. In 1899, Samuel Untermyer, a prominent New York attorney who made millions, bought the property and later hired a well-known architect to build what he wanted to be the finest gardens in the world. Untermyer's family later gave the land to the city of Yonkers in 1946. The park is now run by the Untermyer Gardens Conservancy, a nonprofit organization. The mansion itself has long since burned to the ground, but the Conservancy is busy renovating other parts of the park. Now we're getting ready to make a landing, so to speak. We'll be flying up over the famous staircase, which goes from the walled garden up above down to the overlook with its pillars. Okay, now we're going to do a little flight over the park. As you look south on the river there, again, you can see Manhattan, you can see the George Washington Bridge. While Yonkers is a separate city and part of Westchester County and not New York City, you can drive up a street from the Bronx into the Yonkers and vice versa without even realizing that you were driving into a completely different city. Way out in the distance there, those tall buildings are part of the North Bronx and the East Bronx, and over toward the left as we go along you can see Long Island Sound and you can see New Rochelle, those tall buildings. Yonkers is actually a major city in its own right. It has about 200,000 people population wise, and that makes it the fourth largest city in New York State. It's a city with its own history that it's actually very proud of. And now you start seeing down below Untermyer Park, that new building down below there is the entry into the park. And we're going to back up a little bit. Now down below we see the Temple of Love and that area around that. And we'll be coming back to that later in the video. And as we start swinging around north, you can see the walls that surround the walled garden. The walls are just to the left of the building at the entrance. And we'll swing over it and you can see the garden within the walls, and up on the north side of it you can see the amphitheater, and then we're going to be swinging around and heading toward the staircase. That large gray building north of the park is a hospital, and as we swing down to the staircase you can see the overlook down below. The staircase itself is not steep, and it's a pretty easy walk to go down to the overlook, but there is a walk back also. But the view from the overlook is very nice, and it really is worth the walk. As we swing to the left, which is south, we'll go through a patch of woods which you can walk through to get to the Temple of Love, which is down below there. There are plenty of paths around the park to walk through. There are places to picnic at. It's a very nice park. But since you can't normally fly into the park, we're going to go over and start at the parking lot of the park in order to start walking through the walled garden and the other parts of the park. Next to the entrance to Untermyer Park is a memorial to those police and firefighters of Yonkers who have given their lives in the service of the city. Here in the walled gardens, there are several pools of water crisscrossing. It's early spring, and trees and flowers are just beginning to bloom. Two sphinxes stand guard over the amphitheater. The loggia, coming up to the left there, leads down to the staircase, and here you see it straight ahead heading down to the staircase. Next to the Temple of the Sun that's being renovated, an old swimming pool still displays its mosaics, including one of a fish. And going back and passing through the loggia, we come upon the head of the staircase. So here at the bottom of the staircase, we're at the overlook, and we have a beautiful view, an excellent view of the Hudson River and the Palisades over in New Jersey. And now we're going to walk through another garden and go down to the gatehouse. This is the gatehouse, which used to be a two-story building at the gated entrance to the property. It's now a ruin, but the Conservancy has planted a flower garden inside. They left the graffiti there as wall covering. Built into the walls below the gatehouse are two large statues, one of a unicorn, the other of a lion. They have been repaired, but it was decided to keep the horn off the unicorn in order to prevent it from being vandalized again. Here now are the daffodil fields below the Temple of Love. The Temple of Love was built by Carlo Davide, a Genoese stonemason who did work at the Paris Exposition, the St. Louis Exposition, and at the Frick Museum in Washington. It is what is called a folly, a decorative building in the fantasy rock garden which serves no real purpose except now as a scenic overlook. And of course, that doesn't prevent you from using it as a convenient rendezvous place if you want. And there are two pools below the temple flowing with running water. The top pool seems to attract coins like a wishing well. The gardeners told me that every now and then they collect the coins and the money goes toward renovations. The Temple of Love has benches and makes for a convenient resting place also while visiting the park. It is best to come on weekdays if you want to take a leisurely stroll around Untermyer Park to enjoy the garden and the many birds. So I hope you've enjoyed this latest excursion into the wilds of Samsara. I have other voyages of discovery in the works, so please subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thanks, and have a wonderful week.